AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's rock!
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR. We are presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing in Baton Rouge, all over the state of Louisiana. Matt, Muse, Paulie back in studio. Alondra taking care of business here on site. We are at LSU here at the Journalism Building, the Manship School of Mass Communications. I've told you many times that I'm a proud Manship School alum, and today their Sports Summit, the third annual, an awesome way that alums from the Manship School come back and talk about their careers, their experiences, to give back to the next generation of broadcasters and journalists. And we're thrilled to be here at, as I said earlier, a place where I probably never wore a sport coat and certainly had a lot more hair, meaning I had hair. No, Alondra, for real, like, you should have seen me in college. Flowing mane. And then God laughed at me and was like, hey, your dad's bald and your grandfather's bald and you're going to be really bald. And now I'm bald. So here we go. Yeah, what you got?
Is this also when you were doing open mics?
Why are you out here telling lies?
You said this on air.
Yeah. Did I say it on air?
I think we had a conversation about it.
I thought this was an off-air convo.
On air.
Yeah, your boy might have done open mic.
Goes around, comes around.
Phil Brady's. We did that one. Pearl Jam was always be a better man's always a good one. Probably did some Soundgarden.
I mean, that's a choice.
And STP, we did Plush for sure. Yeah,
How
acoustic
can you not
version
do
of Plush. Yeah,
or
you know.
Creep.
No, never did that one. But it's like I would say that it's like, boy, we have deviated. See what you just did? See what you did?
I'm sorry. I feel like I do this all the time.
You just derailed the show. No, but it's great.
You made me sing Nickelback once on.
That happened.
Yeah.
That happened. Rockstar, the whole thing. You know, have you ever seen the movie Hitch? How about this? I'm going to make a pop culture reference that no one here will get.
I'm so proud.
But again, this is in my
in your era.
My era. If it's really since 2014, I have no idea.
Yeah.
It's just a black hole. No idea. I got zero shot. But you know, whenever Hitch is telling Kevin James, like, don't dance, like, here, this is your box, stay in your box.
Yeah, stay in your box.
Because they're making a pizza. Say, don't eat pizza, I got food there. Like, vocally, I know my range.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I could stay in my box. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Know thyself.
Yeah, of course.
You have to.
All right, it's after further review. Glad to have you hanging out with us here. Mike Triplett in 25 minutes from right now. Saints getting ready to head out to L.A. to take on the Rams. Tyler Shough's first start. We'll look forward to that chat with Mike Triplett. I know so much of the conversation around the LSU search has involved the governor in the last 24 hours or so. But they are going to have a coaching search, and they are having a coaching search. And you are hearing coaches mentioned, and every time coaches are asked about the LSU job and say something on the record, we're going to talk about it. And today, two more coaches who've been connected to the job, loosely as it may be, were asked about it, and so we're going to talk about it here. First is Dan Lanning, who was on the Rich Eisen show, and Dan Lanning was not willing to take the bait and elaborate very much at all, but this is what Dan Lanning said when asked about the head coach openings.
Yeah, I'm not leaving Oregon. Yeah, as long as I win. That's what I always tell my kids, right? If your dad wins, we'll be at Oregon. So I got to win, right? That's how it changes.
He's winning. So, hey, Muse, what do we call what Dan Lanning just did? What level is that on the scale?
I'm going denial.
Flat out, Prouty Muse, give yourself a ding, no doubt about it. That was a denial. So there's the denial, there's the non-denial denial, and the non-denial. That was a flat-out denial. That was Nick Saban, I'm not going to be the Alabama coach. Dan Lanning just put himself in a box and said, I'm not leaving Oregon. Okay. So whenever you hear other coaches who are asked a point-blank question and they weave and dance and all, they're telling you, you can call me, I'll listen. I may not leave, but I'll listen. That's what Kelvin Sheppard did. Now, I think Shep is a fascinating potential candidate. I don't know if he's going to get the job. I have no problem saying that if LSU offers Kelvin Sheppard the job, he will take it. Shep played at LSU. He's the current DC with the Lions. And during the Lions media availability today, getting ready for the Minnesota Vikings, Shep was asked if he had interest in the LSU job. Listen how he answered it.
I can't be interested in something I have no idea about. So, I'm interested in beating the Minnesota Vikings. I'm tasked with another Tiger this week in Justin Jefferson, since we're on a Tiger conversation. And that's a tall one. He's one of the LSU greats. So that's what I'm interested in. I'm interested in seeing us come off this bye week and stop cutting ourselves short of the potential, I believe, who we could be as a defense and as a team. It's time to make this final push, and it starts with us limiting points.
Now, Muse, so what do we call that, by the way?
I'm going non-denial denial.
Good at this, Muse. I mean, you're not good at a lot, Muse, but you're betting 1,000 in this game. I tell you what, it is multiple choice, however. Okay, but this is the part that if you're an LSU fan, I want you to clutch your purple and gold beads. I want you to hold the alma mater close to your heart. This is the thing. This is the thing that is going to sell almost all of you on the possibility of Kelvin Sheppard. Roll it.
Obviously, I've kept up with them. That's my alma mater. I keep up with them every year, every week. Spent 5 years, 6 if you include the year coaching down there. That place molded me into the man that I am today and still becoming. You cut me open, I'm a liger. I think that's what they call it. Half lion, half tiger. But, that school expects championships, and they should. We hosted a trophy when I was there. They hosted one after I left there. The standard down there, just like we've created the standard here through hard work, through what you put out there, is championships. It's not just being around, it's not being competitive, and it's not winning. We should win. That's what we put ourselves in position to do over the course of time. It's championships. And that school deserves that. That fan base deserves that. And I know the people down there in place will make sure that happens moving forward.
I mean, this can be a fascinating hire. Because I will tell you, the reason when Brian Kelly got fired on Sunday, there's always this initial wave of who's next, and people start throwing out names. I'm not talking about people on Twitter or X. I mean the people that write checks. And I'm telling you that people that write checks mentioned to me after the Kiffin, Dan Lanning, all that, the names everybody's going to mention, right? Joe Brady, Kelvin Sheppard. And when someone who's willing to write a check mentions a name, you better pay attention. Now, I'm not telling you it's going to happen. There's a great chance it happens. But I'm going to tell you again what I tell you every time we have this conversation. Believe nothing, consider everything. Just like I'm telling you with the conversations we've had over the last 2 hours about the governor's comments possibly making some of the top candidates uneasy, the way LSU is likely to structure contracts moving forward without guaranteeing 9 figures up front will eliminate the top tier candidate. When you start getting down to the second tier, you start to go, okay, well, is there a giant difference between hiring John Sumrall or Kelvin Sheppard or Frank Wilson and Dan Mullen? You start to have those conversations. You don't have the conversation if you have the opportunity to hire Dan Lanning. If you have the opportunity to hire Dan Lanning, you hire Dan Lanning. But if LSU's not in that market, well, now you start to have a different conversation. And you're talking about a young guy with an NFL background, who knows defense, is crushing it right now in Detroit, gets culture, gets LSU, all the things. And remember, someone different's going to make this hire. But when you hire a coach and it doesn't work, typically you go the opposite, right? You go the opposite way. You just hired the aging veteran coach, CEO type. Wouldn't it make sense that you go the offensive background, younger, energetic, defensive-minded coach? Like, wouldn't it make sense if you made that flip, if you changed? I mean, the example I give you all the time is when when LSU went from someone like Trent Johnson to Johnny Jones, or from John Brady to Trent Johnson in basketball. Just like John Brady was loud, he was abrasive, and I love Coach, by the way. And he would say this if he were sitting right here. He wouldn't object to any of this. Well, they went to a more stoic guy in Trent Johnson, and Trent Johnson was a good basketball coach, but he'd have an ounce of charisma. So they fired Trent Johnson. What did they do? They brought in Johnny Jones, LSU guy who could recruit his behind off. You want someone to love LSU? Boom, you got it. So point being, like, a lot of times when something doesn't work, you go the other way. And it's interesting to see if that might be what happens here. So I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying if you are closing yourself off to the possibility of someone like Kelvin Sheppard getting the job, you better think twice, because that door is open. When you got people who are willing to write checks, as we saw on Sunday, door is open. All right. So after further review, glad you're with us. Brought to you by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com, lmfj.com. We're inching closer to the holidays. Man, in 2 days, it'll be November. Gents, all you little cupids out there thinking about popping the question around Christmas. I know you wait till you get under some Christmas lights. Better be from Got Lit Light Installers. You get under some Christmas lights, and maybe there's a snow machine because it don't snow down here. And you get on bended knee and you profess your love. Well, you better have a diamond from Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. I always say it's like Goldilocks. The big box stores, cookie cutter, impersonal. The boutiques, not a great selection, overpriced. Lee Michaels, just right. 10 stores, great selection. They have it. If they don't have it, they'll get it. They can't get it, they'll make it. And because they buy for 10 stores, they can give you great prices as well. And they'll always give you the Lee Michaels experience. LMFJ.com. LMFJ.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. All right, y'all, it's after further review. Glad you're hanging out with us here. Thursday show is presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. 17 minutes from right now, Mike Triplett is here. Tyler Shough met with reporters in advance of his first start of his NFL career. We'll look into the injury report and all that stuff with Mike coming up 17 minutes from right now. We're looking forward to it. Let me knock out a quick break. If you want to join us, again, you can email us, tweet us. I wish you could text us, but community suspended my account, my text account. I'm pissed at them. I like, you know me. Like, I'm pissed at them right now. What a time, too. Oh, I don't leave my text line. LSU fires a coach. The governor's coming on the show. No. I don't leave my text line that I've built for 3 years. I want to fire those people so bad. Anyway, whatever. I don't want to go on a tangent anymore. All right, it's after further review. We'll continue next. Stay here.
AFR.
You know, I love telling you about great businesses and great business owners. And Derek Duplessis at Duplessis Builders is certainly in that number. By the way, we're sitting here doing the show today at LSU. Derek is an LSU alum. He's from Ascension Parish, went to LSU, degree in mechanical engineering with a minor in aerospace engineering, NBD. Dude was working as an engineer. Sister asked him was going to build a pool. He said, I think I can do it. Did it. Started a business, 6 pools the first year, and boom, just like that. Now they're one of the fastest growing and most decorated pool companies in the country. As a matter of fact, Pool and Spa Magazine this year named Duplessis Builders a top 50 pool builder in America. You want the best? Build your beautiful pool at a great price with great service that'll last, the best warranty. DuplessisBuilders.net. Check them out online. Start there, DuplessisBuilders.net.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at DecisionCriticalBR.com.
I'm hoping that we can create a contract with a great coach at LSU that can be the template. Maybe that's what needs to break in order for somebody to come over here and say, listen, we're going to start building contracts based on performance-based. I have no problem compensating these coaches, even at the level that we're talking about, as long as we're winning.
That was Jeff Landry on the Pat McAfee show. earlier on Thursday. If you missed it, the governor spent a good 20 minutes with us here as well. And we did go deep into his feelings on contract structure. I did ask him some point-blank questions about Scott Woodward and his future, which he deflected. And I understand that. But some of the questions you got to ask. He and I, again, will continue to disagree civilly on a few points. I disagree with him about Scott Woodward. I've made my case. He's obviously does not think Scott Woodward is a very good athletic director and wants him removed. He has not said that on the record, but I think it's safe to infer from the things he said publicly and through private conversations I've had. I think Scott Woodward is an excellent athletic director. I do agree with him, however, on structuring coaches' contracts. The hard part about that, and if you're not familiar with what we're talking about, like LSU is saddled with a big buyout on Brian Kelly, because this is the conundrum. Because to lure Brian Kelly from Notre Dame, you gave him a 10-year, $95 million contract, with 90% of it guaranteed. So because you didn't have any protection, now you're on the hook for this massive buyout. And you can say, well, why do you give those coaches those contracts? Because you're not getting that coach without that type of contract. Unless you're willing to spend $100 million and structure it that way where they have guarantees, they're not leaving. So you have to ask yourself the question, do you want to hire that coach? Do you want to reduce risk by hiring the more proven commodity but guaranteeing them that money? Or do you try to I don't want to say go on the cheap, but you find a more affordable route? Ross Dellinger was with us in hour one. He pointed out that's basically what Mike Elko did. He took a smaller upfront number with a bonus structure that allows him to escalate his contract if they win. Now, the problem he's going to have is they're winning at a rate where now A&M is going to have to give him a new contract. It's probably going to have all the bonus all the guarantees in it. But in any event, there are things that he and I do agree on, but it's going to take someone being forward-thinking and willing to take that risk, because the other part of it with an athletic director is, by and large, your success, failure is judged on how successful your football coach hires. Look, Scott Woodward hired Jay Johnson. Jay Johnson wasn't a proven commodity. I understand that he had gotten Arizona to the College World Series, but LSU and Arizona are not the same. We all know that. He's come here. He's won 2 titles in 3 years. Scott Woodward hired Kim Mulkey, and you can say, anybody could hire Kim Mulkey. Sure can. Can anyone fundraise to spend $3 million on the women's basketball coach? No, they can't. It takes the person who knows the right calls to make, the right trees to shake, to make sure you get done what you need done. And that's one of the things he does exceptionally well. As a matter of fact, Ryan Clark was on First Take today on ESPN. And Ryan was one of the former players that spoke to the team today as well. And Ryan Clark spoke about Scott Woodward and the opportunity to make the next hire.
Scott Woodward is a good man. Scott Woodward is a man that cares about LSU. In the greatest times, back in the day, he understood what it was like to be a part of a winner, and he's brought more winners back to the school. He didn't miss because Brian Kelly wasn't capable. He missed because Brian Kelly was no longer willing. Brian Kelly was no longer tapped in. Brian Kelly didn't care if the people of Louisiana cared about him, and he didn't care if the players knew that he cared about them. That's where it went wrong. Not in picking a man who was the winningest all-time coach in Notre Dame history. And so for me, it's emotional, clearly, and it pisses me off, but Scott Woodward deserves to pick the next head coach.
You're going to hear a lot of that. Of course, I agree. The other piece of this, again, is I guess my point in doing this exercise is to illustrate, like, you can disagree with Jeff Landry on some principles, which I clearly do. And I don't like the fact that he's being so vocal and outspoken, because I do think that's going to have a negative effect on LSU's ability to conduct a meaningful search. That doesn't mean they're going to land on the wrong candidate. But there can also be things that you agree on. And I think it's important to highlight those as well. So Josh Pate was also on Get Up today. Saw Josh in Nashville. Great dude. Super thrilled for his success. He does an awesome job. And listen to what Josh Pate said about the opportunity to have success at LSU.
Well, if I could get anyone I wanted, I would go after Marcus Freeman. Now, if Marcus Freeman says, thanks, but no thanks, I'd tell him, hey, I've cleaned up the political structure down here. You're good. And if he still says, all due respect, no thanks, I'm not sure my list would look like theirs. My list would look like a guy who really, really knows how to coach ball and who understands how to harness the infrastructure of Louisiana. And that just means let him put the rocket boosters on you that they put on Les Miles, that they put on Ed Orgeron. I would have no problem going after a guy like Matt Campbell at Iowa State for all I care. John Summerall at Tulane in state would work fine here. Truth be told, there are about 25 or 30 football coaches in America that could win at LSU if they just stayed in their lane and everyone else stayed in their lane and you properly harness Louisiana.
Number might be higher than that, but it's a really interesting perspective, isn't it? Because I know I have been conditioned over the years to think you got to go for the big name. You're LSU. You have the resources. The expectation are championships. And I still believe in the prior era, you needed that. You needed a head coach that knew how to be a head coach and be successful and win. I don't know necessarily that you need that in this era. I think you need a coach that knows how to navigate this era. And there's probably a lot of guys who can absolutely do that. Dan Patrick on his show today agreed with Jeff Landry about coaches' contracts.
I don't know what the press conference was about, but I know what it became about because it was about, picking your successor to Brian Kelly and doing it in a fiscal way. Now, I don't know if this means, hey, how about not a 10-year deal? You should never be tied up for 10 years with a coach with that amount of money. You may not get the guy you want, but you might get somebody who is on the precipice of being somebody, and maybe you get them at a better price. Don't go over 5 years. Don't. In today's college football climate, nobody's staying around for 10 years, whether they want to leave or you want them to leave. Sustainability is so difficult now. I'm not signing up for 10 years with anybody. I'd have a prenup.
So it's basically a question of, are you willing to recalibrate what you think the LSU coach should be? Are you willing to say, we're not going over 5 years. It's going to be an incentive-laden deal. Who wants to play ball? You go that route this time, and if it works, great. And if it doesn't, because there's coaches that will take that deal. There's absolutely coaches that will take the deal, but they're not named Dan Lanning, Marcus Freeman, Lane Kiffin. You got to punt that dream. And if it doesn't work, and we're 4 years down the road, and you fired another football coach, are you maybe more incentivized to spend again? It's a fascinating time. But all that is to illustrate that as bombastic as that press conference was a day ago, as kind of crazy as it is for the governor to make those types of overt statements about the athletic director, I'm not calling him crazy. I mean, it's a crazy thing to watch, right? I mean, we just don't see that. There were things in there that he said that were smart and make a lot of sense that a lot of people agree with. You just kind of have to peel back the layers of all the whatever else that gooey gunk was in that press conference. It made everybody feel really uncomfortable about the future of the program and the coaching search to get to the things that were really smart that he was talking about. Maybe those are the conversations we can have as we move forward. All right, it's After Further Review. Thursday show is presented by Decision Critical. Not just healthcare, it's healthcare for your lifestyle. DecisionCriticalBR.com. DecisionCriticalBR.com. Call Blasia and her team from birth to end of life care. Maybe you're new parents, you have a newborn, you're coming home and you need to sleep. Well, their nurses can come watch the baby during the night while you and your significant other, your spouse, get some sleep. That's part of what they can do. If it's thoughtful, loving care for the end of life and everything in between. Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. DecisionCriticalBR.com. All right, let's not got a break, y'all. Come back, Mike Triplett. Let's talk some Saints. They're getting ready to hit the West Coast, take on the Rams out at SoFi on Sunday. First start for Tyler Shough. We'll talk about it with Mike Triplett next on AFR.
AFR.
We're brought to you by the Watermark and the Renaissance. Watermark, downtown, Renaissance, Southtown. That's what they call that area right there on Bluebonnet across from the Mall of Louisiana and Perkins Row. But look, Watermark, Baton Rouge's premier hotel property, actually not far from where I work every single day, right there on 3rd Street. And look, they got 2 awesome dining options as well inside of Watermark Baton Rouge. They got Milford's on 3rd, which faces 3rd Street, as you guess. It's sort of the casual sort of sandwich shop. And then they have the Gregory, which is in the lobby there of Watermark Baton Rouge. Fine dining, amazing. They have a charcoal oven, an indoor charcoal oven. So like when you walk into the lobby of the Watermark and you see the Gregory, like you will see straight into that oven and those amazing aromas just waft through the air. Beautiful, bar area to have a cocktail. Watch foot traffic there downtown on Florida and 3rd. It's Watermark Baton Rouge. Check them out. It's Baton Rouge's premier hotel property. Watermark Baton Rouge.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at DecisionCriticalBR.com.
Mike! Yeah?
New Orleans Saints coverage with some Mad Libs mixed in.
Why don't you just go by Mike?
It's time to talk black and gold with Mike Triplett of NewOrleans.Football. Presented by Benny's Car Wash. Family owned and operated since 1951.
It was a great feeling, but knowing that he was just complimentary of the work that I've done behind the scenes, and I was going to be the starter for this week, and obviously continually so. But he just was kind of talking about what we need to do offensively, how we can kind of turn this around a little bit, and just looking forwardly. So it was a good feeling, but also in the same breath, we had a lot of work to do. So that's my mindset. And nothing changes process-wise, but the sense of urgency does. We're just going to have fun. We got to go out there and put points on the board and go out there and win.
All right, Mike Triplett joins us. We got news. Tyler Shough will be the starter. Mike, thanks for the time as always. Reaction to Shough making his first start?
It's new. It's different. I'm all for it, right? This team needs to be exploring possibilities. I mean, there are different worlds where Spencer Rattler did a really good job. He exceeded my expectations. There's alternate realities where he could have a lot of success in this league, but this is a 1-7 rebuilding team that's throwing rookies in half the position groups across the roster to try to think about the future. And you drafted a quarterback at 40. It was time to do that at quarterback too, I think.
Okay. What do we think is let's go back one more before we go forward. Yeah. What do you think ultimately was the reason that this was the time to make the change?
It was a little earlier than I expected, to be honest, Matt. I take it back. If Rattler had struggled more, I thought it could have happened any time after the first month of the season. But the way Rattler was playing, I was kind of eyeballing the bye week or maybe the Carolina game before the bye week, get your feet wet, and then have 2 weeks to go over it and make adjustments. But I can't help but wonder if once Kellen Moore got the idea in his head, he was ready to, pull the trigger at a moment's notice, and that moment's notice came in the game. I don't think he went into that game planning to make a switch during the game, but I think once he had it in his head that, I think a week before that he said it's a week-to-week decision. I just think the idea kept growing in his head, and he was ready to do it. And then obviously Spencer Rattler opened the door by having, after he only had 1 turnover in the first 6 games, he had 6 turnovers in 6 straight quarters, 1 in each quarter exactly, before he was benched. And then the offense as a whole, this is what Kellen Moore has said a bunch of times, like they need to make a lot of changes on offense, including the way they're coaching it, including the way they're calling it, including some of the things they're doing. But the offensive as a whole had grown really, really stale. They were just not. They would get past the 50-yard line and then just fall off. And, obviously this comes in the wake of a game in which they just scored 3 total points.
What is, in your estimation, a realistic expectation for Tyler Shough against the Rams?
Against the Rams, I don't think there could be a more difficult matchup for any quarterback on the Saints schedule this whole season that they've played.
Awesome.
Even tougher games, Buffalo, Tampa, I don't think anyone else has a defense that's good and a defensive front that's good. So he's like, be prepared to see a couple turnovers. Be prepared to see him make a mistake when he's under heavy pressure. And he's going to be facing a 3rd and 13, and they're going to tee off on him, and he's going to make a move that's unflattering. But I also think that is going to give, I don't know, maybe some wiggle room in how we view it, since we're, what are they, 14.5-point underdogs? We're expecting doom and gloom. So if he has 2 turnovers, but he also hits Rashid Shaheed, has a successful 2-minute drill, converts a couple third downs with his legs, as long as we see glimpses of what they can build on, and knowing this is week 1 out of a 10-week audition, I think we're looking for the positives as much as kind of knowing there's going to be negatives. We're gonna see a little of both for sure.
Just to clarify, provided he stays healthy, you think Shough starts the rest of the season?
That's certainly the plan. I think he would have to flame out pretty tremendously for them to, switch back and really be in over his head. I can't rule that out, but it won't be about wins at that point. And if this is a 1-13 team at some point, then it's going to be we better look at him for 4 more weeks. Otherwise, we're drafting quarterback with the number 1 pick next year.
Yeah. Mike Triplett, he's on Twitter at Mike Triplett. NewOrleans.Football chats every Thursday here, presented by Benny's Car Wash, giving us a new reason, a new meaning of intrigue for this game this weekend against the Rams to watch Tyler Shough. So, Mike, the other part of this comes, what's around Tyler Shough this weekend when you consider injury situations? And maybe the better question is, with the trade deadline coming Tuesday, are there any players that might sit that they don't want to risk injury?
No, they won't do that, I don't think. I guess I think you might as well just go ahead and make the trade before a game if you're going to do that. But if they had something in place, but it's a fair question if they're so sure they want to trade Rashid Shaheed, but I don't think they're going to do that. I think he'll have his full complement of offensive pieces for at least 1 game. If any of those guys are going to be traded, whether it's Shaheed or Brandon Cooks, he'll have all of them available for this game. The real shame of it is obviously that Eric McCoy's out for the season. Nothing would be a better friend to any young quarterback than the kind of veteran center that Eric McCoy is. But other than that, the full offensive line is intact. So, and he's got out with the Mary doesn't have Kendra Miller. So not perfect, but pretty close to what you would want. They better start catching the ball for him better than they were catching it and holding on to it better than they were for Spencer Rattler, though.
Well, look, even the interception that Tyler Shough threw was one that Chris Olave had ripped right out of his hands by Antoine Winfield. Yep. So it's been a problem this year, obviously, and both of these young quarterbacks, just their weapons aren't helping him any. So, Mike, the conversation, all the focus, of course, is going to be on Shough at the quarterback. But you and I have talked about this now for 2 months. It's a season where you want to see what you have in a lot of potential future cornerstone pieces. It's hard to recognize when you're 1-7, but are there things that you could step back right now, or players that you could step back and say, they've got something there, and that's a guy that could be a starter for a half decade here?
Yeah. There's not tons of guys that I'm you're building around them, but I would actually say that is the one sort of shining light or saving grace, silver lining, whatever you want to call it, of this season so far. Is that was number 1 most important to me on this team, was seeing progress and promising signs from the guys who are going to be here for several years to come. And I think it's been pretty positive with Kelvin Banks, the first-round pick, and I think it's been pretty positive with Tali Fuaga, last year's first-round pick, and I think it's been trending positive lately with Kool-Aid McKinstry, last year's second-round pick. He had a really good game this last week, and he's been trending positive. Obviously, you like what you're seeing out of the rookie class, and they're getting them all on the field, those mid-round picks like Jonas Sanker and Danny Stutzman and Quincy Riley and now Devin Neal. I don't know that those guys are going to be top 10 players for this team. Maybe Sanker could be, but, they look like guys who are going to build out a roster. So I would say some of the things you're disappointed about are some of the things you expected to be disappointed about. Luckily, I would say that the guys who are young and are going to be around for a while have been pretty promising for the most part, except for obviously the Devon Bailey experiment so far. You'd like to see him get a lot more involved in the second half of this season.
There is Jalen Polk next year too. It's crazy that I'm sitting here trying to pump Jalen Polk right now. This is when you're 1-7. Give me something, God. All right, Mike. Is there a path for the Saints this weekend to maybe mess up and win this game?
only in the greater NFL weird things happen sense. But this to me is probably the most confident I've been in picking against the Saints all year and the widest point margin. Although I will pick less than 14 points. I think that's a pretty surprising point spread considering how feisty the Saints have been, even against the Niners and the Bills. And, they could backdoor their way to finishing within two scores, right? But other than that, no, there's a lot of things that don't match up well for them. The Rams are coming off a bye. They're getting Puka Nacua back. They've got Matthew Stafford, who I think is leading the league in touchdown passes this year. This is a bad matchup for this team.
Yeah, the Saints have played.
So here's your positive. Look at the schedule past this game, and it's like a college football season in reverse. They've got the non-conference opponents coming up throughout November and December.
The Saints have played 3 road games. They've lost all 3 by double digits. I'm not in any way confident, but I appreciate your attempt at some degree of confidence. Mike Triplett, courtesy of Benny's Car Wash, Benny'sCarWash.com, Benny'sCarWash.com, unlimited car wash membership club. Highly recommend it. Did that several years ago when we started these segments with Mike, and Benny's jumped aboard, and it's awesome. I mean, you just got a little sticker. You pull right in, you pull right through. Wash as many times as you want. Benny'sCarWash.com. Mike, all right, give me something then this weekend, someone other than Tyler Shough to keep an eye on. Last thing for the Saints-Rams.
Yeah, Kool-Aid. Kool-Aid fascinates me a lot. He carries himself like a really confident guy who belongs in a cornerback 1 or at least a cornerback 2 role. You'd like to see him be a building block for the future. Had that great performance in the goal line stand, and now he's going up against Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. So he might not get tested like this more rigorously than the rest of the season. So he's a fun one to watch for me.
Mike Triplett, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
All right, man. Be well. Kool-Aid stinks. He stinks. I ain't watching Kool-Aid. He stinks. He might be a nice rotational piece somewhere down the line. He's not a number 1 corner. It's one of the things I've learned this year. Every time he goes up against someone else's number 1, he gets just absolutely torched. Which is why if the Saints can find something in Tyler Shough and they end up not using a top 5 pick on a quarterback, I wouldn't be opposed to taking the best cornerback in April's draft. You're going to see it this weekend. I mean, Matthew Stafford, even though he's 107 years old and he's put together with bubble gum and duct tape, is still just slicing people. And the Rams, Stafford may throw for 700 yards. Or not really. People won't hold me to that. But they're going to get torched this weekend. And it's going to be another reminder. It doesn't matter if it's JSN or any of the other number 1s that they've had to go up against this year. Kool-Aid can't hang. They need a number 1 corner. All right. It's after further review. We'll get to Otterlocks whenever we come back to wrap up the show here. We're at LSU's campus at the Journalism Building. Been an awesome show, and we appreciate very much our friends here from the Manship School of Mass Communication, Dean Kim Bissell, my buddy Chad Sabady, of course, Professor Sabady, who invited us here to put on this awesome event, and thrilled to hang out. So we'll knock out our final break of the show, come back. Otterlocks is next. Stick around.
AFR.
Thinking of selling your home? You need Darren James. Listen, if you're thinking of selling your home and I'm going to do the for sale by owner thing, I want to just caution you. This is data. 73% of people that list their home for sale by owner end up hiring a realtor. 3 out of 4. 3 out of 4 people that list their home for sale by owner end up hiring a realtor. Why? Could be a lot of reasons. You don't know how to properly price your home. You don't know how to properly show your home. Maybe you're just not around enough for the showings. There's a lot of reasons why you need a realtor and their expertise. And there's nobody better than Darren James. Not my opinion. He's on the Wall Street Journal's list of the top 1% of realtors in America. Think about that. No realtor in the state of Louisiana. He's number 1 in Louisiana on the transaction side. Nobody gets to the closing table more than Darren James. So, you need to sell your home fast. You need to make the most amount of money. You need Darren James. Agent225.com.
Think real estate. Think Darren James.
After Further Review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
Down the stretch we come, final segment here on a Thursday edition of AFR presented by Decision Critical. Always thrilled to have you aboard with us. Thanks for hanging out. If you missed, Governor Jeff Landry was with us at the top of hour number 2. If you missed anything, you can get it on demand wherever you get your podcast. Just search After Further Review. Same with YouTube. You want specifically LSU content or specifically Saints content, just search AFR LSU or AFR Saints. It's all right there for you. Bite-sized, packaged up, off we go. All right, one thing left to do, find out what we're betting on tonight. Here, it's time for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks.
All right, time to win some money.
Presented by Total Maintenance AC Repair. Same-day service means you will never sleep hot. 480-1000. We are Total Maintenance.
I think it's safe to say that I won the bet.
Otter, how are you?
Good, Matt. How about you?
Doing freaking awesome, man. Fired up. Great day.
You in the J building?
I'm in the J building.
Right. You know, when I first started taking classes there, they actually had typewriters, and I'm not BSing. So I wouldn't BS you as a Louisiana taxpayer.
Hey man, it's funny walking through a lot of the classrooms here and in Hodges next door in the basement. I just remember like sitting at those awful Avid editing bays, which like that makes me feel old, and you have no idea. I guarantee you have no idea what Avid is, but like I'm glad that you're way older, that you had typewriters.
We transitioned from KPRG in the stadium to the basement of Hodges Hall for LSU.
That a bit? How about it, man? The freaking Otter rolling up here with a history lesson. We got J school students hanging out in here watching the show, man. They're just listening to this old guys tell tall tales.
Yeah. I was fired up about my little desk I had there as chief announcer my senior year. I'm still waiting on my desk at Guarantee. But anyway, I had one at one point.
If you want a desk at Guarantee, we can make that happen. The entire insurance side of the building is why I give you a floor. Jimmy, I give you the entire second floor if you want it.
As a Louisiana taxpaying citizen, I think I need one. So anyway,
let's make it happen.
I'll take it. No parameters on this office space, huh? At Guarantee. So anyway.
Oh man, I'll get you what you need. Look. You know I know who to call. I can make things happen. They give me a little bit of autonomy over there. So you want a desk? I got you a desk. Yeah. But that just means you'd have to show up.
No. That's okay. Let's go. Let's get to the picks.
Go ahead, get to the picks. What you got? Thursday night football.
Oh man, our buddy Big Dog Randy McKay gave us 3 rocking chairs last weekend, including the Thursday night special with the Rams and the Vikings. And the Chargers and Vikings. He's got another one for us tonight. Everybody thinks of Lamar Jackson because he's back. Everything is going to be fine and dandy. Just resume as business as usual with the Baltimore Ravens. He and I kind of have a little bit of a concern there. Miami, listen, that's more of an outlier than something you can expect. But you can't beat a team any worse than what they did against the Atlanta Falcons on Sunday. So we're taking the home dog. Thursday night's always been home friendly.
Yep.
We'll take the 7.5 in the fish there.
Yeah. All right. What about the college games?
College game, Tulane went from 3.5 to 5.5. And, with the parameters placed on the LSU hire, we're going to go get the Tulane coach, and in a concerned Louisiana taxpaying citizen. I think it'll be a cheaper deal for us and save us a little taxpayer money by hiring a Tulane coach after a loss and not as a win. So I'm dead with my heart here. I'm going to take the Roadrunners plus the points at home.
All right, UTSA plus 5.5 in San Antonio, and the Dolphins plus 7.5 at home on Thursday Night Football in the NFL. Nothing on Marshall and Coastal Carolina?
No. Coastal is really bad. I can say that.
All right.
Really bad. Really bad. No.
Football Friday at Rufino's?
Yes, 10 a.m. 10 a.m. tomorrow. Not a whole lot going on, but we'll try and stretch 3 hours tomorrow, starting at 10. And Richard Dixon and Charlie starting. We're reviewing the tape, because, calling out the people. So, anyway, go get him, Coach Frank. Let's go, baby. He's already had commitments. So
Live at lunch, starting at 10 a.m. mañana there at Rufino's. Go by, see Charlie, Jimmy, and Richard Dixon. Thanks, Otter.
All right, good luck.
Same to you, man. We're brought to you by Relief Windows, reliefwindows.com. Windows, door siding, they do shutters as well. Relief Windows and reliefwindows.com. Brandon, Holly, and the gang, awesome people, man. Brandon's been a dear friend for a long time, and I can tell you, as good and ethical a human as you'd ever want to meet. It extends to every person in their business. I know we're just talking about windows, door siding, and shutters, but when everyone in the business has the mentality that the owner has, that spend your last dollar to make the customer happy, you bet you're going to have an incredible customer service experience, beautiful windows. It'll beautify the exterior of your home, lower your energy bills, lifetime transferable warranty, one place, Relief Windows, and reliefwindows.com. All right, y'all, let's get do it for us here, man. What a great day, man. A cool opportunity to do a show here at the Journalism Building, here in the Holiday Forum. Go Manship, proud alum, and always happy to come back when invited. So that'll do it for us. Muse Pauly back in studio, Alondra on site. Thanks so much. Y'all have a great night. See you tomorrow at 3.
After further review.
As we get on down the road, remind you about Arco Power Systems, ARCCO, Arco Power Systems. That's ARCCO, arco.com. Amazing business that I've gotten to know here in the last several months. Right there on Airline Highway in Baton Rouge. But y'all, Arco Power Systems but this is industrial generator power. Okay, this is not like a standby generator for your home. These are generators for your industrial, your commercial buildings, right? Your storm comes, your office, your business loses power. What do? Arco. Y'all, they have offices north up to Little Rock, east to Mobile, west to San Antonio, also Houston, Dallas, Austin, and all over Louisiana. So if you're a business anywhere in that footprint, and you need standby generator power for your business, you need Arco Power Systems. ARCCO. Go to arco.com, arco.com. ARCCO, arco.com for Arco Power Systems.